Hello and welcome back to the Wisely Automotive YouTube channel. Our last few preparation videos went down quite well, so I thought I would take the opportunity to do another one for you. Not really focusing on anything particular, but just going to show you around two cars. One that I would say is quite a good example and one that's slightly worse for wear. Yeah, without further ado, we'll start with this one here. So it's just come in from a private seller. It's one owner from new, which is really hard to come by these days, especially now that they're 7 odd years old. So this is a 15 plate, meaning it's from 2015, and it's a 60 amp hour range extender with a really high spec. And yeah, it was a privilege to be able to buy something like this in. If we just first start with the cosmetic things, and then once we've done that, I'll show you a few sort of interesting things which we found, and also just some observations. So in terms of cosmetic prep, at the front end, really nothing. It's a very low mileage car. We're talking, I think, 20 odd thousand miles. We'll check once we jump inside. But at the front, you know, usually at this age and mileage, we're peppered with stone chips, because these are all plastic components and they're not that resilient to that kind of stuff. But luckily, really, I think I spotted maybe one or two. I think maybe just one there, a couple there, and that's about it. We've got a little mark here which is going to polish out, so I'll show you that once it's done, or maybe even during. And other than that, the only other cosmetic things I've found, I think we'll change this as well. Now, that might seem like overkill, but this is really common as well. So is this indicator being broken, this bit here just chipping off. But given the rest of the car is so good, I think that lets it down a bit, and it's only about £16 plus VAT for that. So yeah, we'll get that changed. Going on though, the only other thing really we need to focus on is just the rear end. So we're going to paint this. To be honest, it would probably polish up well. Actually no, it was because of this here, so there's been a bit of a graze and there's paint missing. You could try and touch it in, but it's not going to look great. And again, given the caliber of the rest of the car, that needs improving. And then just on the Laurus grey part down here, we've got a little mark there, and I imagine it was all one impact. So yeah, we'll get those done, get that over to the body shop, and that's it bodywork wise, which is really good. Those parking sensors as well, I mean, testament to a 7-year-old car that has been kept in the garage all its life, because there's absolutely no pitting on those at all. So yeah, like I say, real pleasure to have bought it. Parcel shelf all good, everything present. Bless the previous owner. He said he watched one of our previous videos and spotted that his badge had flaked a bit, so he tried touching it in. We will probably just peel off all the black, because there's no real saving it at that point. But that's the cosmetics. Tires are fantastic. We've got almost new rears in terms of tread. So these are the Bridgestone, the original equipment tires, and they start with not much over 6 mil. So on the inside here we've got 5.7, so really not far off what it would have been new. And age-wise, 07/20, so week 7 of 2020, so relatively new tyres, or at least haven't done much mileage. Same here. So we've got 5.1, 5.7, 4.5. They always tend to wear. It's not so much that they wear on the inner edge, but the inner groove is shallower from new. So that's usually why you start getting low readings on the inside. On the front, slightly different sort of, not issue, but thing that we need to address. So a really good tread tyre. I don't know where my measurements have gone, but nevertheless, starting to wear ever so slightly here on the outer edge, of course, because of cornering, especially usually the left-hand tyre gets affected worse due to the Milton Keynes effect, as is sometimes referred to. If I show you on this side though, the treads, they're actually within our limit. So we would replace the tyre if it gets under 3 mil. So we're just within it on that inner edge, and actually plenty here. A little bit of cracking, which isn't really anything to be too concerned about. But we're going to replace this anyway, not because of tread, not because of the cracking or anything like that, but simply because they're literally the original tyres from when the car was manufactured, week 33 2014, and so that rubber's now coming up to 8 years old, and that's yeah, I'd rather just get them changed for peace of mind. While we're here, no prizes for guessing the gaiters need changing, although, well, I looked at the other one, but the other one needs doing. This one might not, but it's probably safest to do it anyway. While we're outside the car, I just wanted to show you two observations or interesting things. So this car is an early car. The manufacture or production of these started in late 2013. This is an early 2015 car, and at some point during 2015 they made a couple small changes, mainly for cost cutting, and this car was built prior to that happening. So little things, it's not very obvious on this one, but the mirror caps are body color, so it's Laurus grey on this example, whereas thereafter they all went to black mirror caps, whatever color that you had on the body. And then smaller things, for example, on the inside, this little net was replaced with a strap, and this little pad here, just to give your palm somewhere to rest when it's controlling the iDrive, went all together. One of the largest changes and the most obvious ones is that the Style 429 and Style 428 wheels went from being what's known as handed, which means that they are essentially symmetrical left-right, to being not handed. So on the 428 that's very obvious because they left the factory as per the photo that Martin will overlay now, but with the 429s I always thought they made a mistake, because this pre-facelift, if you want to call it, or pre-cost-cutting car is exactly how BMW intended. So in my opinion, these wheels are spinning the wrong way on both sides, if you see what I mean. Whereas on the 428s they were correct on both sides. Here they're incorrect on both sides. So what happened after the cost cutting is they favoured what I would consider left-handed wheels on both sides. So that car there shows the difference, and what we'll actually do on this car is we'll get it right, or correct the factory wrong, and get the left wheels over to the right side, the right over to the left. Other than that, just a few quick things. We'll obviously get the car in the air and check everything mechanically, but the only thing I've noticed is a very interesting or curious issue. We've not seen this before. I've heard about it, but we've not seen it yet, and I'm not sure if the camera will do it justice, in which case we'll overlay some footage now. But this LED here is really suffering, and it's even more interesting when it's charging, because it goes from a greeny bluey color, whereas it should just be either blue or green. And I've just spotted now, actually, there is a crack there. I wonder if that's got something to do with it, or maybe not. But yeah, we'll overlay some footage because it's certainly interesting and I've not seen it before. Jumping inside, absolutely immaculate. Everything's present, all the ancillary bits and bobs which I've bored you senseless about in previous videos, everything's where it should be, and just generally condition wise it's a lovely car. It was essentially a weekend car, or sort of spare car for this family, and it shows. Really nice, really nicely taken care of. Even this seal here, which often is split by 6-7 years old, that's in fine condition. So finally, if I jump in, I've got a huge spec. I've got the factory sunroof, and actually that brings me on to another point which I'll show you once I've jumped back out. And if I just turn it on, turn that off, and if we just have a look here, so what are we looking? We've got 53 miles on the gasometer based on 63%, so that should dismiss any fears of battery degradation or 60 amp hours not being able to do even small journeys. Service history wise, let's have a look. Beautiful, that's what we like to see. Fantastic. So yeah, we're doing a video soon about servicing, maintenance, service history, that kind of stuff. So more of that will be covered in that video. And we've even got a handbook. Lovely. Okay, just jumped out of the car and wanted to show you that last thing to do with the sunroof. So little known is that at roughly the same time as all those other little changes happened, don't quote me on that, it might have been a different time, but the roof on cars with a sunroof went from having the carbon fibre, which I don't know if you can quite see there. If you can't, we'll overlay some footage. Cars without the sunroof continued having the carbon fibre, such as this one, but the sunroof cars all of a sudden were starting to come out of the factory with a black roof. Now, there was debate as to whether it's just the carbon fibre painted black for sort of visual or aesthetic reasons, but the reality is on sunroof cars they ditched this carbon fibre panel, and it's something to do with US laws to do with the use of carbon fibre on a structural panel. Don't quote me, and I haven't really done my homework on it as it doesn't affect us too much, but yeah, nice to see a car with a sunroof and with a carbon fibre reinforced plastic roof. So yeah, that's it. We'll do a quick check of the frunk area. I'm pretty sure it was all good. Granny charger in there, we'll test that, but it looks pretty much unused, and aside from this being the wrong way round, which is very easy to sort, everything's spot on. 12-volt battery is tucked away in there, and it's the original one from week 53 2014, so we'll have a think about whether to change that. We're not huge advocates of changing them just for the sake of it. Our kind of view is don't touch it until it's giving you problems or giving you signs that it might develop problems. But yeah, we'll have a look. We'll plug it into ISTA as well and see what that's telling us in terms of its health. But yeah, that's if I flip the camera back around. So that's that one. And what I'll probably do now is wait for another one to arrive. I've got one particular one in mind with an interesting backstory, so we'll show you that and then probably show you them both once they're all gleaming and finished. Okay, so you joined me about 2 weeks later, and we've just had this 94 amp hour BEV delivered to us earlier today. Now, this is the other car that I wanted to feature in this video. Reason why is it's got quite an interesting backstory to it. So it's come from auction, and the vendor who put it through the auction is a online car supermarket. And I believe they're actually owned by the auction company themselves, but nevertheless I saw it going through and the number plate looked quite familiar, and I racked my brain and realized it's the car that someone on a Facebook group, Facebook i3 owners group, recently bought and was having problems with. So I think in total there were about 3 kind of major concerns that they had with the car. And the online car supermarket actually sent out a kind of independent inspector to look around the car, and they confirmed issues, and they came up with a bill of £1,400, I think it was, to put them right. Now that bill was then sent back to the online car supermarket, and they rejected it. So the chap who bought it basically returned it within the 14 days that they give. Now, it seems a strange business move, because we've actually bought it for a lot less than the £1,400 that they would have had to pay to appease the customer and you know, put these things correct. But nevertheless, it's their business model. I guess it's based on volume, and they'd rather just move straight on to the next thing. But yeah, it's obviously there's the 3 main things which I'll show you, and then also there's a few other things we've spotted. So yeah, overall there's certainly some pros with the cons, and what I'll do is I'll flip the camera around now and we can start looking around it. Like I say, it's a 94 amp hour BEV, fully electric, hence the green plate, and these are really hard to get hold of at the moment. Between 100 and 150 mile range, free congestion charge, and no road tax. So a really good option, and in my opinion the sweet spot in the i3 range. Now let's first start with the cosmetics. So not too much to report. I have noticed down here on the front bumper there's some scuffing, which is too serious really for us to kind of let out. Little paint missing there as well. So I don't think this happened since it arrived with us. I mean, it's only been a few hours, and also if we look really close, there's been some touching in there, so we certainly haven't done that in the last few hours. So I imagine that's how the car was retailed. Other than that, what have we got? So wheels are generally in good condition. This tyre is almost new, 5.5, 6.5, and the wheels in very good condition. Not many chips, it's quite low mileage. Is that a mark there? No, it's not. Anyway, onwards. This tyre here, so our tread limit is 3 mil, so just shy of that. You know, I can understand why they left it. The legal limit is 1.6, but for us, yeah, if we have a limit, we might as well stick to it. So we will be changing this tyre, and that will match up quite nicely with the other one as it's almost new. The gaiters, which more regular viewers will know are a common issue for us, actually seem all right, but we'll have a look when the car's up in the air, because they don't look new, but they're not cracked or perished either. So yeah, we'll to be confirmed on that. Other than that, this side, nothing really to mention. One of the rear wheels look good. The tyres are on, so 4, 5, 5, so that's fine. And then yeah, one of the concerns or the complaints the person who rejected the car had was condensation in the in these rear tail lights. Now it looks absolutely fine. Obviously it's bone dry today, but yeah, as far as I'm concerned, condensation on the inside of the tail lights is common. It will happen when a car's been rigorously pressure washed, and it does eventually dry out, and in this case it looks absolutely fine. So obviously we'll have a look how it responds to pressure washing. Maybe there is a leak or something, in which case we'll look further, but from the outset, I mean, I saw his photos and there was a lot of condensation, but once you dry it out, this looks absolutely fine. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that's a non-issue. While we're here, aerial missing, no biggie, but they are £24 plus VAT, so yeah, we'll have to get one ordered. And also this eDrive badge, as we often see, has been mullered. All this black enamel is peeling off, so we'll just peel the rest off and leave it silver. And is that another scratch? No, it's fine. Anyway, onwards. So this side of the car, we've got the second issue, which is that the door handle has fallen off, and it's actually in there. Now, door handles are a really common issue for us on i3s. By virtue of the design, this door is essentially just a skin, like a plastic skin, which essentially peels off, and once it's in place, the door handle simply slots in to this kind of receiver, and there's 2 screws, one's an adjuster and one holds it in place. And yeah, it's common for those to unwind, and the handle essentially comes out in your hand. Now, it's not necessarily a problem, but you need to know what you're doing with these screws to get it tightened back up. If you overdo it on one, for example, you can cause an altogether different issue, which is that the door handle pulls open but doesn't open the door. But yeah, in this case it is, if I just pull the door open, everything appears to be in order, nothing is broken. So it does just seem to be a case of the screws were not tight enough, and yeah, it just came off in someone's hand. But at least we have the handle. Often we don't even have the handle, and then we have to get it painted. But yeah, we will hopefully that should just go straight in. Interestingly, this here is a connector. Not all i3s will have that connector there. That powers the puddle light, which is just there, which you get on cars with the upgraded interiors. But yeah, so again, not really a concern for us. We know i3 door handles well, and that will just slot in. So, oh, on that note though, one of the other issues was that this window is not going down all the way, or is kind of stopping. Now, No prizes for guessing why that is, and it is related obviously to the door handle. This carrier that the door handle slots into usually would be parallel with kind of this face, so usually it would be in that kind of position, and those few millimeters make the difference between that glass being able to slide past the back of it and not being able to. So unfortunately what has happened is, if I just step back and open the window on the key, you'll see, I don't know if you just saw it there, but that door handle essentially has moved back or closer to what it should be its normal position. If I just close it now, you might have just seen it there pop. Now that obviously would not be an issue at all, and that problem will be sorted as soon as the door handle is on. The sad thing though is, because the window's been up and down with that in that position, the glass has actually scratched. So that's a shame. We will try to get that polished, but I am pretty sure it won't. So that will be a replacement window. And the third complaint that the chap had was a knocking noise when driving, and it was shown on the inspector's report as drop links, but these drop links are absolutely fine, and we've never had an i3 have drop link issues. I've driven the car up and down the road just quickly, and I'm sure it's something top mount related, so whether they've been fitted incorrectly or they've worn out, top mounts are a very common issue on i3s, so we're pretty confident that that's where the solution will be. And that being the case, they are not expensive. The rest of the car, obviously it's quite dirty. It's been standing, I imagine, in their yard for a while, but actually underneath the dirt it seems a really nice car. And spec wise, we've got the park pack, we've got the 428s, we've got the sweet leather interior. Back here everything seems okay. The seat actually is in lovely condition, and I mean I imagine it went through some kind of pre-sale preparation at said car supermarket. Only 26,000 miles, the dark oak trim, and yeah, so that is about it. Oh, forgot to mention the sunroof. Obviously really nice feature, very desirable. And going on from what I mentioned earlier regarding the other car, on this car it is painted black, and it's a non-carbon fiber reinforced plastic roof. But yeah, so that's about it. Now what we'll do is get both cars up in the air. If there's anything in particular that we need to show you in terms of rectification, then we will, and then at the end we'll have a look once it's all finished. One final thing to mention, which I just noticed after pulling the car into the showroom for the night, is a rattle coming from this rear door. Now there are basically two things which usually cause rattles on this panel, and one of which is coins falling in here. There's a little kind of area where the bottom of the seatbelt bolts in, and yeah, if you get like a 5p coin or a coin in there, it just rattles when you're going over bumps, and also every time you close the door. The other one is this here, and this is really simple. It is just two Torx screws, and as you can see here, they are loose and just need tightening. And also, while we're here, I've just noticed this is dislodged, really common, bit of a design flaw, and yeah, just keep an eye on that. Always keep that in, because sometimes if it's kind of all the way out, it will get caught, and you can just start seeing a bit of deformation there, and it can lead potentially to wind noise and things like that. So back to the lovely 15 plate 60 amp hour. Let's skip past all the boring bits, which you've already seen in our previous videos, like the gaiters, tyres and general cleaning. There is one issue we run into. There was a stone chip on the windscreen, which was quite minor, and we were in two minds as to whether we should have it repaired. Not because we're trying to save money, but because it was quite close to the edge, and this increases the chance of the screen cracking when it's being repaired. Sure enough, it cracked. The first repair in 100 or so that we've had done, but something our glazer has always warned of, and it was going to happen sooner or later. Anyway, this meant a new windscreen, which arrived from BMW, and of course, sod's law, this car has the active cruise control, so the windscreen is £390 plus VAT instead of £290. But it is what it is, and the new windscreen went in a charm. The silver lining was the opportunity to replace the 2 rubber gaskets which sit between the roof and the A-pillar trims. It's very common for us to see these dislodged, torn, or altogether missing, and personally they're a little pet hate of mine. Anyway, all replaced and now looking like new. Now onto the 17 plate 94 amp hour, the rougher of the two. First, the passenger window was addressed. The door skin was removed, the existing scratch pane was released, brand new glass slotted in, and then everything put back together with fresh door clips. The door handle was put back on and everything is now working how it should. The car went to the body shop for the front bumper corner, and I'm sure you'll agree this now looks much more acceptable. Finally, the noise complaint. A bit of a result here. I took the car for a longer drive, and while there was a knocking noise, in the end we actually traced this down to one of the bonnet bump stops being in the wrong position. Once adjusted, the noise went completely, so we got really lucky there. The top mounts were checked too, just in case, by turning the steering wheel from lock to lock while static, and these were found to be absolutely fine. New aerial fitted, offside front tyre changed, e-drive badge de-enamelled, and the whole car given a polish. Quite remarkable that the original resellers weren't interested in addressing the after-sales concerns, as they would have found 2 of them cost nothing, and the third, if it had been caught before the window was scratched, could have been a nil-cost repair too. No complaints, of course. It means we've had the chance to put the Wisely Automotive seal on yet another i3. And now let's have a quick look around both cars together, now that they're fully prepared. Though we had to rush this bit, as both cars sold within a couple days of going live on AutoTrader. Costs-wise, we'll overlay everything we spent now, and as you can see, it actually ended up being the Peach which cost us more to get ready. It's not a problem though, and we've certainly come across far bigger bills before. On that note, I'm sorry it wasn't the most exciting of videos, but hopefully there were a few interesting points nevertheless. As ever, please do consider subscribing for future preparation videos and general i3 content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.